Welcome back to the Blue Door Pub Thunder. Don't fear another bull with Andy Carlson, Minnesota's 87th best daily podcast. Tell a friend, spread the word. Available on iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Oh, yeah, now. You're too kind. You're too kind. It's okay. Calm down.
You are one pathetic.
All right, that might be a little bit too far. It's okay. Back in action. They haven't canceled us after one episode. Yeah, and if you haven't checked it out, go check out our Monday episode. We're going to be in here Tuesday. Oh, today. I'm a little scatterbrained. It's very late. Just wrapped up a great chat with Darren Wolfson, KSTP Sports 1500 ESPN. Talked about Super Bowl, Gophers, a little bit of Vikings as well, and if the media should hashtag stick to sports. Snuck that in there at the end. It's good stuff. And the download numbers from the first episode are really good, and it's cool that a lot of the fan base from Purple for the Win, Andy Lukery, Football Machine, Dad Mode have come over to this new endeavor. Even though I'm still not sold on it.
Well, I've seen teams suck before, but they were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
Everyone's too kind. Yeah, I promise we will. Yeah, I'll give the first episode. Uncle Nick was awesome. First episode, 7 out of 10. We'll go a solid C. It'll get a degree, but we hear about getting A's, baby. Because as an Asian father, I'm we got the report card. What does this be? It means you be homeless unless you get A. Muggsy's going to have a very interesting trek through grade school. Yeah. Something also interesting is shopping on Amazon. Bullshow.co/Amazon. Easiest way to support us because you already shop on Amazon. Well, let's not be jerks about this here. And one of my favorite things to do, I'm not even going to lie about it anymore. Just go to the mall or go to Walmart or go to like a store. Or no, not Walmart. Take that out. Forget I said that. Like a higher end store. You're thinking of a couple. And you see something you really like? Right there in the store. I don't even care. Just whip out the phone, look it up on Amazon, get a better price, and shop through our link, bullshow.co/Amazon. Take it right to the homepage, bookmark the out of it. And every time you buy that cheaper item that you found out at the store or the mall, we'll get a couple nickels in our pocket, and we'll keep on keeping on. It costs you nothing. Zero. Absolutely nothing. All right, let's get to Doogie. Tuesday down at the Blue Door Pub. And coming back into the Blue Door Pub studios with old friend Darren Wolfson. Follow him on Twitter at DWolfson, KSTP, KSTP Sports Guy, and also a Scoop Podcast, 1500 ESPN, the hottest, the fastest growing podcast in the Twin Cities area.
Are you sure? Did I pay you to say that, Andy? Is there any definitive proof that what you just said is actually accurate?
Well, as we've kind of found out, you don't always have to be accurate with what you say. Just you have to feel it.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
You deliver it definitively.
Yeah.
I've always said that when I anchor sports, and I'm the number 3 guy in Channel 5, but when Chris Long is on vacation or Chris is filling in for Joe Schmidt, and then I end up doing a weekend, whatever. I end up anchoring 20, 25 times a year, and I do some other stories too. I've always said, now I take pride in making sure that I pronounce all last names correctly.
Yep.
I will dig. But if for whatever reason I can't find some sort of pronunciation guide, if it's some foreign player, whoever it may be, I'm just saying, you just say it however you think it should sound, and you say it with conviction.
And starting for the Wolves
and
in the post,
you say
Gordon
DeJang. Correct. You say it like that, then you know.
Yeah.
Then you're inviting yourself to be questioned. The viewer or the listener is saying, what the heck? But I'm just saying, if you say it, now we know it's Jang, but if you say it, Gorgie Diang, I mean, you say it with conviction. Nobody knows the difference.
It's so funny. Do you remember when poker started getting really big in like the early mid 2000s?
Yeah, well, my bank account knows.
Yeah. And so that was right during college, and me and my roommates and college buddies, we'd always play and we'd always watch on TV.
Yeah, we're about the same age. Yeah.
And I'm a little bit younger at heart.
Well,
you got 2 kids that ages you fast, like being a president.
Yeah, there is something to be said about that. Trust me. I mean, maturity-wise, I'm still 11 or 12. I still like to finger paint, in fact. But
I thought you were going to go
why
Sorry.
you say 2000, I say we're about the same ages. It took me 6 years to get a college degree.
Oh, that's
It probably didn't take you 6 years. So.
Yeah,
well, it took you, 4.
No,
it took me 6. So while I'm in college, I'm in
Yeah.
college with a bunch of people that were, 3-4 years younger than me.
I was very studious, so I got out in 5. But anyway,
jealous.
So poker on the TV, and my gringo friends would always say, "Oh, look, it's Scotty Nyugen," and his name is he's a Vietnamese guy named Scotty Nguyen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Except it's
Nguyen.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I can understand. But bring it back to the Fast Growing Podcast. I'm the podcast guy in this market, and so people will take it at face value. Well, probably not after all the explanation. Sorry.
Or the fact that you're on your, 3rd beer, 4th beer?
We'll say a hard one. It's a Monday, the day after the Super Bowl, and I'm guessing not a lot got done today. Now, maybe not as bad nationally as March Madness, that opening weekend, Thursday, Friday, as far as workplace productivity. But I'm gonna guess the Monday after the Super Bowl, things shuffle a little bit slow in workplaces around the country.
I would agree. I mean, I think the person who ever tossed out the idea, now it'll never happen, but it makes some sense to me. What about shifting President's Day?
Yeah.
To the Monday after the Super Bowl. Not that everybody has President's Day off.
Yep.
But a number of people do.
Yeah.
My wife has a government job. She would have that day off.
Yeah, I've been on that train for a while.
Schools are off. Enough people have President's Day off. What about that idea? Shifting a national holiday. Or leave President's Day, mid to late February. This year, February 20th. What about just making the Monday after the Super Bowl some sort of new national holiday?
I'd be down for either route. I lean more towards the latter because then that would just be an extra day off.
Well, yes, although you end up making up for that extra day off somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
If you have a conventional office job or you're in school, somewhere down the road, you're going one extra day or you're working one extra day or you get one less holiday pay.
Yeah.
So it ends up evening out. In this line of work, heck, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
It's the Monday after the Super Bowl, you're working. Especially next year. You think about the Super Bowl coming here.
Oh,
you think about the week leading up to the game, the day of the game, but then the day after the game.
Yep.
I mean, just from, just speaking personally from a TV standpoint, I'm sure that'll be a 14-hour day. A great 14-hour day, but I'm sure it'll be a 14-hour day.
I feel bad for the like the news reporters covering the Super Bowl, and yes, you get a full expenses paid trip down to wherever it is, but you're working the whole time, and especially after the Super Bowl, you're on deadline, maybe down in the locker room, you're doing stuff, you're probably up, the game ends like 10-ish, and you're probably up until at least 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And then they have the stupid MVP ceremonies at like 9 in the morning, wherever it is there, and so we got to go cover that, and it's a full week.
It is, and that's the great misnomer, because I hear it all the time.
Oh, you get to go to the Super Bowl for free,
man? Well, or it
was.
Here's a more specific example. Where was I the other day? Shoot. It might have been Doogie's baseball lessons on Saturday morning at the National Sports Center in Blaine. A guy recognizes me and wants to say hi. That's fine. We start talking sports, and he sees that Drew's got his baseball bat and his glove, and we're walking toward the area where he's got his baseball lessons. So the guy just randomly said to me, "Hey, do you get to go to spring training?" And I said, "Hey, funny how this works. The boss of the department, Joe Schmidt, gets that trip. Funny how that works, right?"
Yeah, it's odd.
But here's the misnomer, because we were mapping this out the other day. You get your interviews. Workouts start at 8:30 in the morning.
Yep.
A guy like Joe Mauer's at the ballpark by 7 a.m.
Yeah.
A good time to get interviews is before workouts. So the idea is you get to the ballpark 7:30, 7:45 before guys walk out to the field. You can get some interviews after workouts, but the best chance is oftentimes before workouts, all right? Then you've got to get ready. He'll do live shots for a few days. 5 o'clock news, 6 o'clock news, 10 o'clock news, and the 9 o'clock news on Channel 45. Okay,
Damn,
well, fast forward an hour.
When do you
so
go
we're
golf?
talking Fort Myers, okay.
Yeah.
6 o'clock Fort Myers time, 7 o'clock Fort Myers time, 10 o'clock Fort Myers time, 11 o'clock Fort Myers time.
Ugh.
You have some time to go get a decent dinner. Don't get me wrong. Go sit down, have a nice, there's a great spaghetti joint that's right around the corner from the ballpark, wherever. So you can get a nice meal. But it's not like you're hanging out at Lani Kai on Fort Myers Beach.
Yeah.
If in the case of one of our photojournalists, Parker Anderson, who's a single guy, it's not like you've got all this time to be picking up all these chicks on the beach. It's just, it doesn't work like that.
No,
It's a grind. It's a fun grind. It's nice being out in the sun in this case, but I'm just telling you, it's not like there's a whole lot of free time yet. As you just said, to go play golf or go hang out at Fort Myers Beach.
Two-part question. What do you think is the most plum reporting gig to cover? And part two, what's the best one that you've gone on?
I would say the best one to cover is if there are no live shots involved. So you go somewhere and you gather.
Yeah.
So you work really hard for X amount of hours, but then there's some free time at night. I won't divulge the exact whereabouts, but again, to cite my colleague Joe Schmidt, he just got back from not an exotic location, but he had to hop on an airplane for a story.
Gary, Indiana.
Wasn't Gary, Indiana, although not real far from Gary, Indiana.
Oh.
Not Chicago, though. But anyway, he didn't have to do any live shots. So you bust your ass from 8 a.m. until 2, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
But in this case, when you're used to working through the 10 o'clock news, you have your nights free. For me, I had a blast a number of years ago when Channel 5 was the preseason home of Vikings football to be at the first ever game in the new Cleveland Browns stadium. Now, that stadium's now been around for, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years. It was
99. Yeah.
10 years? Was it 99? Okay.
1999.
15, 16, 17
Yeah.
years. But the very first game, first football game, there might have been some sort of event a couple days prior, but the first event in that new stadium was a Vikings-Browns preseason game.
I vaguely remember that.
So I just remember trying to figure out where the press box was and where the Vikings locker room was. And you're asking all these security guards and these ushers, and nobody's got an idea. So it was a complete free-for-all, just trying to get your bearings down. And we had to, back then, run videotape. Everything wasn't on these digital cards. Everything was on videotape, was on these beta tapes. So we had to run these tapes from the Vikings locker room, doing interviews after the game, all the way out to our truck, and just trying to figure out the whereabouts and the fastest route possible. That was an adventure. So I would say that probably from a work standpoint was right up there just because it's so memorable.
Well, so you're saying your best work trip was to Cleveland?
I know.
Oh. I thought you were going to...
I'm telling you, the big boss, or even in the case of Chris Long being second in the pecking order of trips, this guy, low on the totem pole, doesn't get all the good trips.
I thought you were going to say, like, Vegas Summer League. It's like, Tyus Jones did really good today.
I'll give you another one, though.
I'll see you guys.
After the Fan let me go in January of 2009, a good buddy of mine is a bigwig for MLB Network. So Major League Baseball Network launches January 1st of 2009. So they're still trying to figure things out. I get laid off mid-January 2009. So I start reaching out to a number of people I know, figuring out, okay, what's next? Got a decent severance package, but I'm one that needs to be on the go.
Yeah.
And I figure, heck, if I'm out working for 4, 5, 6 months, there's a good chance I won't be working for 2, 3, 4 years. I need to find something.
Yeah.
I need to just be kept busy. So I reached out to my friend at MLB Network, and that's when they started doing 30 clubs in 30 days. So they send a crew to every spring training location, and they put together an hour-long special on every team. It's a season preview for every team, and they still do it to this day. It's just way more organized. They were still, speaking of getting your bearings, they were still getting their bearings back then. But I was told, hey, if you want to help us, book a flight to Tampa, or maybe it was Orlando, and he gave me this itinerary. Hey, you're going to hang out with a crew. You're going to do Atlanta Braves camp, Cincinnati Reds camp, Pittsburgh Pirates camp. I ended up doing Tampa Bay Rays camp in Port Charlotte, and I did Phillies camp and Blue Jays camp.
Wow.
Phillies in Clearwater, Blue Jays in Dunedin. They said, just send me, seriously, it was fly by the seat of your pants. They said, everything you get, just get a receipt. We'll pay for everything.
Wow.
So I booked a flight as fast as possible, got down to the Orlando area, where the Braves have spring training on the Disney World campus, and ended up booking a room at the Dolphin Resort, which is, let's just say it's not cheap. But, hey, they took care of everything.
Now, the Dolphin Resort could be the most kid-friendly or the most adult location ever.
Yeah, it was more the former.
It's very binary.
Yeah, that week. But anyway, it was an absolute blast. But the point is, I had intimate access to the clubhouses before and after workouts, even during workouts. So when other media were not allowed in, because I was with MLB Network, I had the MLB Network, golf shirt and all that. I was this so-called bigwig producing these shows or helping produce, co-produce. Just having some of that access to those clubhouses, and I was helping grab guys for green screen shots. So we'd set up the green screen in another location, have guys read these promos.
Yeah.
So it was my responsibility to go fetch guys out of the clubhouse. So I remember, walking into the Tampa Bay Rays clubhouse, and here's B.J. Upton and some other players talking about their shenanigans from the night before. They're like, hey, come on over here. Tell us, hey, hop in. We'll tell you about what we did. Hey, what are you doing tonight? Like, these guys are inviting me. They barely know me. They just see I'm from MLB Network, so they think it's cool. They'd known about NBA TV and the NFL Network.
Yep.
And now they thought, oh, how cool is this MLB Network? Let's invite this guy into our inner circle. So I've got B.J. Upton. And I was heading off to Fort Myers the next day to connect with a friend who works for the Red Sox. But I've got B.J. Upton inviting me out to party that night.
You got to do it.
He's like, we got these chicks, man. And I was engaged. I got married that next October. So, I wasn't in the mood to do anything along those lines. But I've got B.J. Upton inviting me to all these parties. It was pretty hilarious.
Just got the job a year too late.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah,
or a year or too early, actually, in the case of MLB Network. If they were firmly entrenched but still needed help.
Yeah.
I might have been able to turn that into a full-time gig.
I thought you were talking about I was talking about the ladies, not like professional.
Oh, well, that's
aspiration.
True. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
All right, so we've been talking for a while. We haven't even talked about the Super Bowl yet, but 34-28.
As you predicted.
And Tom Brady, down and out, down 28-3, just rallies back from 31 points down, like no big deal, including two two-point conversions, whatever. And now everyone is always a prisoner of the moment, and the greatest Super Bowl ever was the most latest one. But in the pantheon of Super Bowls that you've seen, where does this rank?
It's got to be right up there, right?
Yeah.
First overtime Super Bowl. But you think about even the four previous Tom Brady, Bill Belichick Super Bowl victories, all those came down to the final possession, in some cases final seconds.
Hey, even though they won by 6 in overtime, that's the largest margin of victory of the Belichick-Brady Super Bowls.
Correct.
It's insane.
Which is, that is ridiculous. But I was actually in New Orleans for when the run began.
Oh.
Going back to January of 2002, or I guess early February.
Great show on turf.
2002, right after 9/11. Now, I was there for the partying and to have a good time. We actually passed on tickets 30 minutes before kickoff, $50 a piece.
What?
We passed on tickets, figuring it might take forever to get through the security line. Again, we're talking 5 months after 9/11. So the security, rightfully so, was off the charts. So we had reserved a table at the Hooters in the French Quarter and figured, you know what, that'll be a blast. Let's just watch the game with some locals. Turned out to be a lot of Patriots fans. Then the party that followed immediately after Vinatieri hits the game-winning field goal, and it spills out onto Bourbon Street, or we were like a block or two off Bourbon, but ended up on Bourbon, snap of the fingers. I'm actually glad we did that as opposed to being stuck in the upper deck of the Superdome, although the halftime show, the U2 show, to me, Prince won. That U2 show, probably number 2. So I think that would have been really cool to be there for the U2 halftime show.
Wait, Gloria Estefan is number 2? Or up with people?
No, Miami Sound Machine is not number 2. So anyway, I'm glad we didn't go to the game, but I'm thinking, the Patriots being, what were they, 14 or 15-point underdogs against the greatest show on turf?
It was something like that. Like, St. Louis won the year 2 years before. Then the Ravens came in, busting up chops. But
I'm just thinking.
Yeah, they were going for a mini dynasty.
The Rams were double-digit favorites. The Rams were overwhelming favorites, right? Nobody gave the Patriots a chance. And the Patriots ended up winning that Super Bowl. So to me, being in the city where that occurred, the party city, maybe Vegas, but New Orleans being one of the party cities and having just an absolute blast, I would say that certainly is right up there. Patriots, Panthers was pretty darn good. Steelers, Cardinals, Santonio Holmes. There's been a bunch.
Yeah, Steelers, Cardinals is still my number
Malcolm
1.
Butler, right? How do you not think of Seahawks, Patriots? But yes, there's so much last night. When when it's under 4 minutes to go, 2nd and 11.
Yeah.
All you got to do is run the ball. You're averaging 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Just set it for the field goal. Go up 31-20. But even being up 28-3 with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, 3.5 minutes,
something like that.
I mean, good for you for seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, to use the cliche. But I'm just telling you, as I'm sitting there watching the third quarter unfold and the first half unfold, and it's 28-3, Andy, I didn't give the Patriots an iota of a chance to win that game. So for them to come back and win that game, and I heard Phil Mackey on Mackey and Judd make a good point. He's like, Patriots fans are so spoiled. I mean, I even saw in the Boston area no arrests last night, right? They are so used to winning. But to even give the Patriots fan base that shock value, that holy bleep moment, I can't bleep believe what I just saw, even though you've seen it all, right, with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, to take it to another level. Yeah, I mean, I would have to say last night is right up there. I mean, I don't have the list off the top of my head, to say that, 1 is 1 and 1 is 2 and 1 is 3 or 1A, 1B, 1C. But no doubt, I mean, I do think last night we did watch one of. How about that? I mean, we're safe in saying last night we saw one of the best Super Bowls in the 51-year history of Super Bowls.
I'm going to say that's number 2. I'll still put Cardinals-Steelers as my number 1.
Which is fine. Yeah. Sure. Absolutely.
Which I always take into account, like, the entire game, because the Seahawks-Patriots game was kind of a snooze fest until towards the end. Jermaine Kearse makes that catch, and then, of course, Malcolm Butler. And then also the Panthers, Patriots, like you mentioned, that was kind of a bore for the 3 quarters. And then all of a sudden, fourth quarter just kind of blows up. Like Jake Delhomme is out there slinging it, like YOLO style. And that Steelers-Cardinals one, you have, if the Cardinals hold on, Larry Fitzgerald's the Super Bowl MVP. Like, he scored the go-ahead touchdown, and him just, like, breaking loose right in the middle of the field. That was amazing. That would have been a great moment for Larry. But Santonio Holmes is like 5'9" 3/4 instead of 5'10". That's crazy. Oh, and also people forget that the Cardinals had a shot at a Hail Mary at the end there.
I'm trying to remember that Hail Mary.
Yeah.
As I'm trying to remember the Hail Mary, I mean, how dumb are we not to mention the Tyree catch, right, and the Giants beating the Patriots?
Yeah. I have to put that one up there, too.
There's so many good ones.
Yeah. There's so many great Super Bowls, and when you mentioned that your son is 5 and he's starting to really get into it, which is a great age because that's about the age that I became like I can actually remember sitting down watching Super Bowls. Like the first one I remember was Giants Bills, right after the Iraq War started, and that was the one where wide right or wide left for Norwood. Either way, he missed it. Yeah.
He did miss it.
Yeah.
Oh, wide right.
Yeah, see, that was the first one.
Am I mixing up Florida State, Miami? Those were wide lefts, weren't they? Oh, you're testing my memory.
See, that was the first one I remember.
He did miss it, we know that.
Yeah, the first one I remember. The next year was in Minneapolis at the Metrodome, the last time it was here in Minnesota. And then there was just a run of just like ass kickings. They were just kind of like, feh. So we've been pretty spoiled in the past decade so of Super Bowls. They've all been mostly competitive.
Well, I mean, speaking of being spoiled, I mean, I'm stealing somebody's take, many people's takes from last night. When you think about just the recent sports run, and actually many people have forgotten how great the Lynx-Sparks finals was. I get it, it's a niche sport, but you think about going down to the 5th game and the officials toward the end and that back and forth with Candace Parker and Maya Moore. I mean, that was great. Then you think about Cubs, Indians, Warriors, Cavs. Villanova beating North Carolina for the basketball championship. Alabama, Clemson coming down to the final seconds. And then what we saw last night, I mean, go back, whatever it is, 9-10 months. I mean, it's been, just sport by sport. It's been an unbelievable run.
And going back to this year's Super Bowl, do you subscribe at all to the Kyle Shanahan conspiracy theory? Because
no, and I'm a conspiracy theory guy, by the way, but no.
All right, so you only run the ball 5 times.
Done deal, by the way. Shocking, right?
Yeah.
Done deal as of this afternoon. He's the 49ers coach.
Oh, yeah. You only run the ball 5 times after you take that 28-3 lead, which is shocking.
It is shocking.
You run the ball down the Patriots' throats,
and
maybe not full-on conspiracy theory, but he got cocky. Like, he got full of himself.
Right.
Like, he wanted to run up the score.
I can buy you selling that.
He wanted to beat Belichick bad. And then also, thinking back to the nepotism angle, Mike Shanahan offense coordinator of the 49ers in the 94 season. That was the one that Steve Young threw like 6 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. They put up 49 points on the Chargers. And he's saying, he's like, man, if I could roll up 40, maybe 50 against Bill Belichick, this is going to launch my career. Let's do this. And then they kept checking it. Julio Jones makes that miracle catch. As soon as Julio made that catch, I'm like, this is destiny. This is what always happens to the Patriots. They get a miracle catch against them. Finito. They're going to run with Devonta and Tevin, kick a field goal. It's going to be over. But no. Amazing.
I mean, I hope the Julio catch isn't forgotten.
Sadly, I think it will be.
Because they lost, because of the Julian Edelman catch, by the way.
Yeah.
Me being Mr. Provincial.
Yeah.
Chaska's own Jeff Seaman running in. And that's one of the great calls, live calls by an official that I can remember. I mean, he saw it.
Oh, the official.
He went to the replay booth.
The officials hashtag one of us?
Yeah, but one of us, the guy who came running in, is a local guy.
Oh.
In fact, he's the financial guy for a buddy of mine. But, yeah, I mean, that was a great call. Live action, boom, boom. And he saw it. I mean, picture it. I mean, he's running in. You see him running in and signaling catch. And sure enough, Edelman had it.
Yeah, I think the Julio catch will go the way of the Jermaine curse, unfortunately. Because that Jermaine curse, when that catch happened, I thought hands down that beats the Tyree catch or that beats the Manningham catch, except it was all for naught because he didn't win.
I think you're probably right. Hey, can I tell you one thing I'm sick of already?
What?
These comparisons. I saw, who was it? One of the ESPN guys. Was it Dan Graziano?
Giants guy?
Yeah.
Giants writer?
He does some national stuff, and he's picking the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl next year.
Oh, God, no.
I'm so sick of Andy.
Yeah.
Because the Vikings started 5-0.
Oh,
because the Falcons started 5-0 a year ago. Missed the playoffs, and the next year the Falcons are in the Super Bowl. I'm sick of the comparison.
Yeah.
The Vikings don't have Matt Ryan.
They don't have freaking
Julio Jones.
That's for sure.
Think about all the new players on the Falcons this year.
Yep.
The Falcons have how many new starters? All those rookie starters, Jones and Campbell, go up and down the list. They had Mohamed Sanu, right? They had Alex Mack. You know, they rebuild their offensive line. The quarterback plays at an MVP level. I like Sam Bradford. Do I think Sam Bradford next year has it in him to play at an MVP level? I don't. So I just don't get the comparison. That being said, I don't think the Vikings are that far away. I really don't.
Odds came out. They're the tied for the fifth shortest odds, 16-1 to win.
All right, and I'm fine with that. I think, I'm telling you, if you're jumping off the bandwagon, don't.
Yep.
They return enough guys on defense. They have a ton of cap space. You know, they'll create even more cap space before March 9th. They will sign an offensive lineman, maybe multiple offensive linemen. They will draft a running back if they don't bring back Adrian Peterson, if he doesn't come back at $6 or $7 million. They're going to do some things.
Yeah.
I'm convinced of that. I really am. I mean, they may even try to add a wide receiver and or tight end. You know, not that they don't love Kyle
Rudolph. The draft.
One or the other. I mean, it's a great tight end draft, so maybe you go tight end in the draft. But I'm just saying, I can see them making multiple free agency moves. You know, and you'll get a good player in the second round.
Yeah. They
also have the ammo with 2 3s and 2 4s.
Yeah, they can do
something. If they do want to get up to pick 25, for example, or 27 at the end of the first round to get that fifth-year option, they can do that. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're a Vikings fan, they'll be all right. They're not that far away.
Now, do you think it is something as simple as fixing the offensive line and getting a little bit luckier in the injury department?
Yes. But there is an element of luck involved.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the Falcons have their entire offensive line take every snap throughout the year, and it was a good offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, the Vikings' entire offensive line.
Yeah, in 2015 played every snap,
but it just wasn't a great offensive line. In the Falcons' case, it was a really good offensive line.
But
there is injury luck involved, right? I mean, yes, you lose your starting quarterback, or you lose, a Stephon Diggs, or you lose a Harrison Smith, or a Linval Joseph for an extended period. Yeah, I mean, there's always injury luck. Always. And I would argue that for the Vikings to get to 11 wins a year ago, you look at games missed, I thought they were pretty darn fortunate.
Yep.
So, yes, it's always, and that's why, when the schedule comes out, I mean, we know who they're playing, but when it goes week by week, in whatever, mid to late April, and every talk show host is guilty the next day of
that's
let's
a
go
win,
week by week.
that's a loss.
Correct. You don't know, right? You've got no idea what a team will look like in week 9.
Well, I'd say worst case scenario, 13-3. That's just what I see. Now I'm a little worried about the Falcons because at first I thought they were just a flash in the pan, played over their skis. Matt Ryan and Julio Jones just had a miracle year, but watching some of those defensive pieces, like they're all young. You got DeAndre Campbell, Sheed Hagman, Cameron Neal, Vic Beasley is starting to come into form.
Oh, Beasley's
and
a stud.
Grady
Neal's a stud too.
Grady Jarrett would have been MVP if the Falcons held on. I think he would have with the 3 sacks and so many pressures. But so they have a young defense that's coming into form, and they can outscore anyone in the league. So now that's going to be a pain in the ass. It's not the same old Falcons as we've seen the past couple of years.
I still think it will be cyclical in some form or fashion. I mean, every year, there's 5 new playoff teams when combining AFC and NFC teams. So we will see a handful of new playoff teams next year. In fact, I'm seeing it right now. I can see the Vikings being a new playoff team next year. But, yeah, that being said, being in the NFC South, I don't see New Orleans taking a drastic jump. I don't think Tampa's taking a drastic jump. Carolina still has some pieces. But I still look at Atlanta, and they're still making some tweaks. I still look at Atlanta and thinking they're the class of the NFC South. So if they stay healthy, I still think that they can win their division and end up as a top 4 seed. So they'll be in a position next year to do some damage, in my opinion, this time next year in January of 2018 to win a playoff game or two and make a run to the Super Bowl. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me.
Do you remember Cam from the commercial last night?
Yeah.
God,
it was about the only good commercial.
Oh, the Buick commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was my favorite commercial.
Yeah,
Skittles was 2, but Cam Newton was 1.
Yeah, that offense that was around Cam, that's basically the Panthers. it really is.
They can do some things, though.
They are such a reliant on one-player team. It's almost as bad as the Packers.
Yeah. But can Benjamin take another step? Can Olsen, does he have another level to get to? Although if he just maintains the level he's at, he's pretty good. I still like Stewart. I mean, they probably need a little help along their offensive line.
Well, everyone and their mother is mocking.
They can find a receiver in the draft that can help them, or free agents. They haven't looked at the free agent wide receivers, but I bet there's a guy that could help Carolina.
Everyone is picking Leonard Fournette to them at 8, which I could be a good pick.
Huh. I sort of like the Florida State running back more than Fournette.
Dalvin Cook.
But, whether you go Cook or Fournette at 8. Yeah, I mean, is Stewart up there in age?
He is up there, except he's kind of like, him and D'Angelo Williams are together for so long, and D'Angelo's running great at his age. I think it helped out because they both sort of ease the workload on each other. So their football age is less than their actual age.
All right, but you could make a case that Carolina could use a running back.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense seems okay. I mean, top of my head. Yeah, I mean, Carolina's another one of those teams. So is Arizona. I mean, I still think Arizona's got some good pieces.
Yeah.
You look at just those playoff teams from a year ago that didn't make it this year. Carolina, Arizona, Minnesota being 3 of them. I can see all 3 being back in the playoffs next year. I can.
Yeah. And I don't know if Carson Palmer's coming back, though. We just got some Blue Door deliciousness delivered to us, so we're going to dig into that. We're going to take a quick little break here. And also, now Doogie ordered the classic Blue Sea.
I went classic.
You went classic?
The cease and desist is off the charts good.
Yep.
But it just kicks my freaking ass.
It
just
literally
does. So I had to back off just a little bit.
And I got me the Cajun Redux. So we both got Blue Seas, which Blue Door's famous here, but it's also February. Have a lot of trouble pronouncing that. The annual ode to the mighty chicken wing, $7.50 for a pound and a half of their traditional or boneless wings.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Absolutely, and all the sauces, including the just wing it of the month, the Clockwork Orange, which if you like Chinese food, like a little orange chicken action, that's going to be perfect for you. So come on in and get that. And we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back with more Darren Wolfson right here at the Blue Door Pub. And coming back into the Blue Door Pub right here with Darren Wolfson. And you should get your ass down here to Blue Door Pub throughout the week too, and get down here with Lyft, bullshow.co/Lyft, LYFT, $15 off your first couple of rides just by downloading the app through us. Bullshow.co/Lyft, KSTP. And back here with Darren Wolfson.
Love Blue Door.
Yeah.
Seriously obsessed with it.
Yeah, 'cause,
I have no chance to lose any weight. When it's so damn good.
Yeah.
You did the podcast a couple weeks ago with Chris Long. He walks back in the office with a cease and desist.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, great. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, Andy walked in with a burger.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Nobody would be shocked if I was handed some sort of cease and desist paperwork. But yeah, I mean, so good. I love it. And I've done how many different podcasts here with you? And, we're 5 minutes away from the Channel 5 headquarters. So
dangerously close for the personnel of KSTP.
But it's so good.
Speaking of which, Chris mentioned down the line plans, and Joe Schmidt, we love him, but he's going to see greener pastures eventually. And now, is it going to become like the show Empire, with you and Chris like struggling for power?
Sorry, this burger's so good I had to get a bite in. Yeah, you know what? I'll defer to him. He can be the king. As long as he takes care of his little minions.
Yep.
I'll be one of his little minions. As long as he doesn't forget about guys like me, he can be the king.
It's a little much that
no ego here, Andy.
It's a little much that he has you kiss the ring.
Yeah.
As long as the check's cash, loyal soldier.
Too.
Yeah.
Yes. Just don't bounce the check. Yes.
Talked a little bit in the first half about the Super Bowl, and we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the MSP Super Bowl coming up. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's coming back anytime.
Yeah, no, see, that's the thing. Yeah, it's like Hail Bop or Haley's Comet. You got to get on
now, I would have probably told you back in the early 90s when we had Redskins and Bills that was probably the only time that Minneapolis-St. Paul would get a Super Bowl. So who's to say that in another 20 or 25 years?
Yeah.
But I just don't think anytime real soon, so maybe even when talking, our lifetimes, this may be it. So, yeah.
Because that was the first of its kind, right? A cold weather Super Bowl. Yeah, yes, it was indoors, but before then it had been primarily New Orleans, Miami, California.
Yeah, San Diego,
I believe that's
LA,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, wait, did LA have one before?
I'm
January of '92.
I'm sure LA had a couple, like at the Coliseum. Back in the day. Hey, can you believe that? Was it? I think it was Super Bowl 9 when the Steelers beat the. It might not be 9, but Steelers beat the Vikings. They played at Tulane Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans was. Heck, I could make a case because New Orleans, I'm telling you, as somebody who's been 0.15 on Bourbon Street a number of times, if you told me the Super Bowl is just in New Orleans every single year, I'd be like, okay, makes sense to me. I mean, there's enough hotel rooms right there. You can walk to the Superdome, whatever it's called now, the Mercedes-Benz Dome, and to have, Bourbon Street and all that, and the bar's open until God knows what time, and just that party atmosphere, I'd be okay. I'm serious. If you said, hey, New Orleans has every Super Bowl from here on out, cool. I like it.
I feel like that would be a great rotation, like New Orleans, Miami. Yeah, you can throw LA in there. I guess you have to throw one of the Texas stadiums in there.
Miami, just everything is so spread out.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the downside of like Miami.
That's the downside of places like Arlington, Glendale, is that the stadiums are nice, except they're just completely out of the way. And same thing with the LA Stadium. It's out in Inglewood.
Correct, and that's why next year, I mean, outside of Indianapolis, I can't imagine a location where everything is or will be as centrally located as here.
Yep.
Now, I know one of the teams will end up practicing out at Winter Park, the Vikings facility, so you have to go out to Eden Prairie. And I don't know if they're utilizing the Marriott Marquis at Mall of America. The NFL's big on having a Marriott Marquis being a central location, a central hotel. Or are they building one in downtown Minneapolis? I guess I don't know. But maybe Mall of America is a central location for some things. But even so, Bloomington, Eden Prairie, downtown Minneapolis, it's not that bad.
Maybe they'll run out of hotel rooms like they did in Jacksonville and have people stay on cruise ships. Just park them on the Mississippi. Let's do this. All right, so the Vikings 0-4 in Super Bowls, obviously, but they also
they are what?
Yeah, and
no idea.
Here's a additional kick in the nuts. So they lost at Tulane twice. They also lost at Rice Stadium in Houston. Then they lost in the Rose Bowl to the Raiders. So not only did you lose your fourth Super Bowl, you lost in front of 100,000 people. So that's cool.
One day.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's next year, but one day they are winning a Super Bowl.
And, correction.
It's happening in our lifetime, I'm telling you, Andy. I just have this feeling.
I plan on
Might
living.
be 10 years from now, so I don't even know who will be on the team.
I plan on living a long time, though, and I'm still skeptical.
They're winning a Super Bowl. They are. Yes.
I was incorrect. The Super Bowl 16 Niners Bengals was the first one in cold weather. That was at the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You're very. What you are is flexible and you can multitask.
Morally? Oh. No.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know if you're Gumby-esque, but looking at you kind of navigate your computer. I can't see the computer screen itself, but looking at you with the mouse and trying to carry a conversation with me and able to look that up, that's impressive.
Stat boy right here coming up around the horn. So which would be worse? The joy of the Vikings winning the Super Bowl at home, first team to ever play the Super Bowl in their home stadium, win it, the first one for 4 ain't bad, or have the Packers win the Super Bowl in the Viking Stadium. Would best or worst? Which would be higher?
Okay, so you want me to compare and contrast?
Yeah, the highest of high or the lowest of low?
Ooh. I mean, I've always thought that the lowest of lows is worse than the highest of highs, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it would have to be the Packers.
Oh, my God.
Hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, and Aaron Rodgers conducting a news conference on this Monday next year at the downtown Marriott or the downtown Radisson, with Roger Goodell standing right by his side, and Packers fans by the thousands, lined up outside, shutting down, 6th Street or Nicollet Mall or something like that, just partying all night. Yeah, I would say the lowest of lows is far worse than the highest of highs of the Vikings. Potentially being the first team ever to host a Super Bowl and to then win that Super Bowl.
Now, I understand this is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime thing. U.S. Bank Stadium will probably last 25, maybe 30 years, and then we'll have to rip it up and build a new stadium because that's just how it goes. So, I get that this will be a once in, like, my daughter's young lifetime or a future kid's young lifetime to get down, experience everything downtown, the Super Bowl town or whatever they call it. But it's going to be like the State Fair except times 4 and cold.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be – there's going to be a pain in the ass factor to it, right? I mean, hey, if you're talking to somebody who lives in Golden Valley, all right? So I'm not real far from downtown. If my neighbors decided to rent out their houses and could make thousands of dollars and they jet off to Cancun for the week or wherever, I'd be like, you're smart.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. Now, there is something to be said that as somebody who gets to sort of be in the belly of the beast, I have no desire. Not that Channel 5 would allow me anyway, but I want to be here for that week. But I'm just saying, if my neighbors decided it's going to be such a pain in the ass, traffic's going to be such a pain in the ass, if I can make money, if I can take a trip to somewhere tropical and that trip is paid for and I don't need to deal with all the traffic nightmares, if somebody wanted to do that, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. I completely get it. So, yeah, I mean, there will be, and there's not even enough hotel rooms in downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how they're going to solve that. The NFL needs thousands upon thousands. There's just not enough. So there's going to be a number of people staying. Because there's so many people that come that don't even stay for the game. Like, they're here all week. Yeah. Then they fly out Sunday morning.
Like most of the media.
Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly a lot of the radio hosts. You talk about Radio Row. I mean, there's how many different radio hosts that fly in and do their shows Monday through Friday, then they head back to their city Saturday morning.
See, I do love that Super Bowl is like a gathering for everyone because you get like random jabronis from the 4th highest ranked sports talk show host in Montpelier, Vermont. Like they're coming down. Like we're bringing JoJo and the Scuzz coming on down to Houston. Let's go.
What I've never understood is, now I guess there's something to be said about if you can land a Dak Prescott for an in-person interview or a Chad Greenway, or this model or this actor or this actress, but you could still do the show from the comfort of your own studio and get people on the phone, right? Like, it's not like you have to be in the city.
I think it's kind of just a fun trip, get away from the significant others and the kids and just have a week away.
Yeah, and you get it sponsored, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Get somebody to sponsor the Super Bowl trip, so the station doesn't have to pick up the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about that, too, but I'm just saying.
Ooh, here's what you can do.
I'm telling you, it's the beauty of the telephone. Just call people.
Rent out the house during Super Bowl week next year, Airbnb it, send the wife and kids on a vacation, and then you just hit the mattresses, like at KSTP. Just, like, set up a cot, hit the mattresses like in The Godfather, and just like, all right, we're hunkering down. Let's do this.
You know what, though? There are some high-maintenance people there, and if they're willing to pay thousands of dollars, they have all these weird demands. I remember talking to some people that rented out their house in Chaska for the Ryder Cup. I actually talked to somebody who his friend ended up renting out his house on Lake Minnetonka to Jordan Spieth.
Oh.
But just all the things that these people want if they're paying you a couple $1,000s. Like, you might have to take the couch out of your living, whatever it is. I mean, there's all sorts of wacky requests. I don't know if I'd want to deal with that.
Now, do you think they're actual requests that the people want, or they're just trying to mess with you a little bit?
No, I think people are that high maintenance. I mean, if you've got the money to fly in, and you've got the money to rent somebody's house out, you're probably high maintenance. I'm going to make the leap. I am. Maybe dangerously, but I'm going to make the leap. If you've got that sort of money, you're going to be a pain in the ass.
All right, so the Super Bowl is going to be elite. Something that's also hopefully going to be elite is Gophers men's football. Yeah, Gophers football coming up here. PJ Fleck, home run higher, given the circumstances?
Home run, huh?
Or at least a stand-up triple.
Yeah, I mean, double or triple. I mean, there's something to be said about Mark Coyle getting his number one choice. I mean, logically speaking, the wheels were in motion long before that Tuesday night. When Mark Coyle announced the firing of Tracy Claeys, he targeted one individual. He got his guy. I mean, there's a lot of EDs who go through a lengthy search who end up on choice 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jerry Kill, I would say, worked out okay, right? He takes the Gophers to their first, and there were some circumstances, some luck involved, but Jerry Kill takes the Gophers to their first New Year's Day bowl game in 50-something years, when they played Missouri in the Citrus Bowl. Jerry Kill, I would say, was a successful Gophers coach. He was also Joel Maturi's 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th choice. So there's something to be said about Mark Coyle getting his top choice, landing PJ Fleck. I think his shtick works when it comes to 17-year-olds. I do. I think he can win over parents. I've talked to too many people that say, yeah, I mean, is he over the top? Sure. But is he always like that? Yeah.
I think he is. I think it does come out as genuine, yeah.
It's really not. It's not BS. I mean, that's who he is. Can he coach? I mean, I guess I look at Western Michigan. I don't think Western Michigan. Not that I have intimate knowledge of the MAC, but I just don't think Western Michigan is one of the top 2 or 3. Maybe it is right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think for a long stretch it was a top 2 or 3 MAC job. So for him to elevate it the way he did, to produce a first-round talent like the wide receiver Davis.
Yeah. Corey Davis.
I mean, I think there's something to be said about his ability, to coach, to put together a game plan, X's and O's, and he can certainly recruit. Now, the recruiting class turned out relatively well. I still think there are challenges when you've only got 3 weeks.
Yep.
To me, let's judge recruiting on his 2018 class, not his 2017 class. But to flip a kid from Oregon, Demetrius Douglas, Notre Dame, Brian Kelly comes hard after Douglas. You get him to be a Gopher. That's impressive. I can't remember the last time the Gophers won an outright recruiting war with Notre Dame. When Notre Dame really wanted a kid, and they didn't get him, but you got him. That doesn't happen here.
Do you think that could be the writing sort on the wall that Brian Kelly's on really thin ice in Notre Dame too?
No, because Brian Kelly also beat P.J. Fleck for Jafar Armstrong, really good wide receiver out of the state of Kansas.
Well, he's recruiting the bad guy from Aladdin?
Yeah. Trust me, you and I watch far too much Aladdin. That'll come down to it.
Better than Frozen.
But, no, I don't. Notre Dame will be okay. And Brian Kelly's still highly thought of.
Yeah, they'll be okay once they hire P.J. Fleck in 2 years.
Well, you know what? If they're in a position to hire P.J. Fleck,
the Gophers did good.
That means in 2017 and 2018, P.J. Fleck won at a very high level. If he's ready to vault himself to South Bend, to Notre Dame, that means he won here. So would I prefer 3 years compared to 2?
Yeah.
But I would take 2 really good years of Gophers football if it means that P.J. Fleck needs to move on. That means the program's in great shape. You've got the new Athletes Village that'll be done here December, later this year, late December. They'll do like an official opening mid-January of 2018, but it'll be done here end of 2017. So, yeah, I mean, I like the hire. I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, a lot of people have asked me, just for the next 3 to 4 to 5 years, would you rather have Tracy Claeys or PJ Fleck? I'd rather have PJ Fleck, and it's a blowout. That being said, I do think Tracy Claeys is somebody who got treated unfairly. You know, and I'll admit my bias. I mean, I had a good relationship with Tracy.
Yeah.
You know, first name basis, and, you know, what's the saying? We text and talk, people know, and all that. I mean, I like Tracy. You know, but others who know Tracy way better than me tell me Tracy didn't always like the spotlight. You know, he's comfortable being an assistant coach.
Yeah, he seems like a guy who's better suited to be a defense coordinator.
Yeah, and he might even really deep down admit that to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that being said, I mean, he didn't want to get fired.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get fired after winning 9 games, or I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess when he got fired, it was technically, 9, you know, but there was certainly some thinking after he won 8 and 4 in the regular season to make the move. You know, Mark Coyle doesn't ultimately make the move. The way it's been described to me, Andy, is this way. Mark is a really good guy, good husband, good father. Heck, he was at the father-daughter Cretan-Durham Hall dance a couple weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Apparently had a blast. Like, he's that kind of dad. Like, he would love to take his daughter to the father-daughter dance. Like, even if there was a men's basketball game that night, he would probably more than likely say, there's other men's basketball games. I'm going to the father-daughter dance. Like, really good morals. Just a good guy.
Yep.
That he knew deep down it was really hard to fire Tracy Claeys after winning 9 games. Like, you don't fire the Gophers coach after winning 9. But after the boycott, after the Twitter fiasco with the tweet, he had enough ammo to say, okay, this is the move I always wanted to make. I just couldn't deep down make the move, but I always wanted to fire Tracy Claeys. Just didn't view him as the face of my number one program on campus for myriad reasons. Okay, I've got enough ammo. Let's make the move. I've got my guy lined up. Let's get PJ Fleck in here. Let's do this.
Do you think without the boycott and, say, the first round of the players' punishment been handled less ham-fistedly, do you think Tracy Claeys is still the coach of the Gophers?
Well, he might be. I mean, Tracy told me that that Mark promised him verbally a contract extension after the Northwestern game. So after the November 19th win against Northwestern, heading into that Wisconsin game, the final game of the regular season. Now, you hear from the other side, and maybe that's stretched a bit. You know, so we're getting into it. He said. You know, so I'm not fully sure, but I do think Mark at least minimum hinted to Tracy that you've earned 2017.
Yep.
But I'm just telling you, the more I talk to people, I do get the sense that Mark always wanted to make the move. He did. But I do think in some sort of way he relayed to Tracy, you've done enough to earn 2017. But then everything happens.
Yep.
And the move
it's an easy out for
the move became
for
a lot easier. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I'm telling you, I'm sure he told Kaler, maybe only Kaler, maybe some others, but that he had his guy lined up.
Ooh, speaking of years, if you're a betting man, say you had to bet a paycheck, 2020, so 17, 18, 19, year 4, PJ Fleck, still coach of the Gophers? Yay or nay? What you betting on?
I would bet yes. So at that point, he's only 40.
Yep.
You know, he played in the NFL 3 years. He coached briefly with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know, you joke, but a lot of people like to make the logical next destination for PJ South Bend, right? That it's Notre Dame. That eventually they make the move. Maybe, but I actually think his next move, if all works out well here, is to the NFL.
I don't know if that rah-rah stuff gets it done. I understand people rally around
I think you need to back
Pete
away.
Carroll.
But I think if he accomplishes enough at this level and one at Western Michigan, I do think there's a part of him being a competitor the way he is that he'd like to conquer the NFL.
And with the NFL,
I actually don't have any insight into that. That's more just an opinion, not even an educated guess. Maybe semi-educated guess, but there's something, and again, this can change in 4 years. So, right? I mean, all goes well here, and, you know, it's such a hard conversation to have. But I'm just saying, 10 years from now, if you tell me that at 46 years old, that PJ Fleck is coaching in the NFL, I guess I would not be shocked.
Both of Mike Zimmer's eyes say deuces, and then PJ Fleck just gets the call up. Like Ziggy just walks out to the mound and taps the right arm, and Fleck just comes sprinting in from the bullpen.
I know. I mean, you're right. I mean, the rah-rah,
yep.
elite this, row the boat that.
It works if he can coach.
Motivational tactics, you're right. I mean, to me, a lot of these pros would laugh at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think they probably would. I think it's easier for a 19-year-old or 20-year-old compared to a 27-year-old or,
for sure.
A Chad Greenway. I mean, let's be frank. I mean, you think Chad Greenway would respond to that? Or a Matt Burke? I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, they responded so well when Zimmer rolled out the Beat GB shirts.
Yeah. or the stuffed animals.
Yeah. Allegedly. So, two items, and I'll let you get out of here, Doogie. So we'd be remiss. We're talking about Gophers if we didn't talk about the passing of Ray Christensen, longtime voice of the Gophers.
92 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, I was reading his background.
It's quite a stretch.
I mean, it's an unbelievable life that he led. And, of course, thoughts and prayers out to the Christensen family. Even at 92, I mean, it's incredibly sad. But he lived one hell of a life. I mean, he served a tour of duty in the Army during World War II. I mean, going back to the 40s. Takes over the call of Gophers athletics in the early 50s. Ended up calling Gophers football for 50 years, basketball maybe a little less, but yeah, I mean, synonymous. And the beauty of Ray was, I mean, if you listened to one of his broadcasts for 2 seconds, I mean, you knew if the Gophers were winning or losing. And catching up a little bit today with Joel Maturi, with Daryl Thompson, those who knew Ray way, 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 way better than I did. I mean, outside of having an occasional Tuesday media lunch with him, sitting at the same table, hi, how are you? I didn't have a relationship with Ray outside of that. But I saw him interact with others, the way he treated others. There's a lot to be said about the compassion, and just him doing things the right way and being just a good overall guy. And he was a heck of a broadcaster.
Yeah.
And he was. So yeah, I mean, it's a sad day in Gophers land, and but the man's legacy. I mean, Daryl Thompson made a good point. I mean, Ray Christensen is trending on Twitter today. He hasn't called a game in 14 or 15 years. But still enough people remember Ray Christensen. I mean, those Saturday afternoons, listening to a Gopher football game or a Gopher basketball game in the winter. Yeah, I mean, legend.
Yeah, it's funny how I feel like you don't get that anymore, where a guy sticks in with one team or with one region for 40, 50 years. I mean, there's just a lot of migration in sports media. But yeah, I can remember just listening to Twins game as a kid, and remember just John Gordon. Like, that still sticks in my mind. PA calling Vikings games, I'm sure, sticks in the minds of a lot of young kids too. And there's just somebody who said it, like, having longevity in a market, it's very underrated.
It is. I would also say there's some challenges. I mean, it can be tough on a lifestyle, right, if you're married and kids and all that. And you start getting into your 70s.
Yep.
And vision, and some of these press boxes are higher up. I mean, in the NFL, some of these press boxes are 10-yard line, 5-yard line. You're not at the 50-yard line. I mean, it's hard to see. So, I mean, it's a challenge to call games. Some of these baseball press boxes are no longer right behind home plate.
So you need to eat more carrots, Doogie. You got to get your beta-carotene in.
I mean, talk to Alan Horton. I mean, he calls Wolves games from the top of Section 131. I know when they're in L.A. for Lakers games, they're halfway up the lower bowl. I mean, there's other arenas where you're not courtside. So there are challenges. Hockey, I mean, I love the vantage point of looking down hockey press box. You're way up there, though.
Yep.
So I'm just saying that I think there are challenges the older you get. Just having the ability to string together enough words and the ability to see everything clearly and call a really good game. And, once you hit a bar, right, and you've got this high standard, you want to be able to meet that standard, right, on an every game basis. And I just think when you're in your 70s and 80s, that's really, really hard. I mean, that's why Vince Scully, I've got the baseball package. I mean, simply amazing. I mean, seriously, if you click on any Dodgers game from 2016 or any Dodgers game from 1989, I mean, Vin, I mean, you couldn't tell the difference. If I just said, hey, listen to this broadcast, shut your eyes, listen to this broadcast, listen to this broadcast, 1989 to 2016, you might be able to recognize maybe a little difference in his voice, the way he sounds, but just sharp and in the storytelling. I mean, Vince Scully doing it into his 90s, I mean, unbelievable. But you're right. I mean, whether it's, a Dick Enberg or, Vince Scully, or even on a national level. I mean, I know you're talking about a local connection to a play-by-play guy, but a guy like Brent Musburger.
Oh, yeah.
Walking away, and Vern Lundquist at CBS. I mean, there's been a lot of broadcasting giants, right, that have left us in the last year plus, and now, unfortunately, Ray leaves us entirely. But yeah, I mean, the legacy that he's left is great, and I'm telling you, I mean, the impact he had on people. I mean, Daryl Thompson was tearing up a bit on camera today talking to us at Channel 5, just talking about Ray and just the impact that Ray's had on Daryl's life, the way he just lives his life. I mean, forget broadcasting. Certainly had an impact on the broadcasting, but just the way he lives his life. I mean, it really hit me when I was listening to Daryl tell those stories.
Yeah, that's simply amazing. The effect that so many people in sports media can have on their listeners, their readers, etc. I'll get you on here on one last question. What's your stance on sports media's stick to sports? Policy, mandate, unspoken rule, or do you think that sports media people, especially when they have a large platform, should take stances on social issues, or as a consumer of sports content, not care?
Wow, we could do an entire podcast on that topic, Andy.
Yeah. I'm going
to sit there on what the topic is.
Yep.
I mean, I'm a taxpayer, right?
Yeah.
I'm entitled to my opinion.
Yeah.
Am I not? Now, do I use my social media platform to spew my opinions? No, I really don't. If I'm filling in for Mackie and Judd, and that's a very center lane sports type talk show, I'm not going to deviate. I mean, that's their show.
Yeah.
To me, I'm filling in. I'm almost renting their property. Their show is sports centric, sports based. Now, if I was filling in for a Joe Suchere or even a Patrick Royce, who can weave and not stay down that center lane,
I don't even think Suchere talks sports.
All right, so I guess it depends on what lane I'm traveling down. TV wise, I'm a sports guy.
Yeah.
So I'm professionally going to stick to sports. But trust me, I watch CNN as much as anybody.
Yep.
I watch C-SPAN. I watch all this stuff.
Oh, you watch C-SPAN? Damn.
I try to stay. Now, it's hard now with 5 and a 2-year-old.
No, puts the kids to sleep, C-SPAN.
But, yeah, I mean, trust me, there are many nights. I mean, a night like tonight, especially with everything going on, with Trump and what have you, when instead of watching a late basketball game, 9:30 tip-off, late NBA game on the dish, I'll probably watch Anderson Cooper's show, or whatever's on CNN, or flip over to MSNBC or Fox News.
Yep.
Although I might have to watch The Bachelor tonight, I suppose. Guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
But the point is, I mean, I'm paying attention, so I've got opinions on all that stuff. I guess just because, though, I figure people are following me on Twitter.
Yep.
Or friends on Facebook, or on Instagram. They're following me for my sports takes.
You don't write the 15-paragraph rant on Facebook?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. But my father-in-law likes to have some strong takes. And on occasion, I guess I'll comment on some of his stuff. And I like to be well-versed enough, so if you and I are just having dinner here at Blue Door Pub next week, let's say, not doing a podcast, we can talk about what's going on in the world. Yeah. I was doing a TV story with a former high school teacher of mine at Henry Sibley, a guy named Steve Lufkin, 50 years old. It's devastating. He's got ALS.
Oh.
And he's now in a wheelchair. The mind is still sharp. Oftentimes, when talking to ALS patients, the mind doesn't go. Physically, there are all sorts of limitations. But mind-wise, he's still as sharp as it gets. And we happened off-camera to start talking about insurance companies and some of the hurdles and some of these drugs they're trying to get approved, for ALS treatment. And, I mean, you think about the Affordable Health Care Act and pre-existing conditions and what might happen to some of these people down the road. And, to be able to carry a conversation, I want to make sure that I can carry that conversation. That I don't come off as a complete fool.
Yeah. I think that's the right approach to be informed enough. Like, don't just take bits and pieces that confirm your bias and then just be the loudest person in the room. That's not really the way to have discourse. But I think this is an interesting thing because this is probably the most I've paid attention to politics ever, and I think that's the case for a lot of people. So that's one positive take about it. but also the mix of social media and when are you on the clock, when you're off the clock, especially with sports media figures. It's weird to have like a national sports media person go off on like a complete rant about Trump and everything that's going on, and then be like, fantasy football picks, week 14 coming up, and it's like we're in uncharted territory, and we're still trying to figure out what's kosher, what's not.
Agree, but I still think you need to think like Sage Steele, and I think Sage does a really good job pre and post game NBA hosting. But she sent out a tweet. Was it like a week ago?
Yeah, she was annoyed that she was late for her flight because of the Muslim ban protesters at the airport.
I mean, that's one. Just you got to think before you tweet.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're inconvenienced for an extra hour, just think about the inconvenience far beyond. I mean, inconvenience is the wrong word.
Yep.
But for this sake, let's just go with it. The inconvenience being presented to all these other folks, right?
Yep.
Like you need to walk an extra half mile. I mean, oh, God forbid. Oh, no, not that, anything but that. It's like, come on, Sage.
Yeah, like you said, we could do a whole nother hour on this, so we'll have to do that next time you're on the show, hopefully pretty soon.
The point is, I want to be informed. If I'm asked my opinion, if somebody asks me a question on Twitter, I'll at them back. I'm not going to retweet it for everybody to see, but if they happen to ask me, it doesn't happen often, but if somebody asks me on Twitter or on Facebook something that's politically based, I'll share my thoughts. If they're asking my opinion on something, I'll share my opinion. I respect LeBron James a ton when it comes to social issues. He does his homework, and if he hasn't done his homework, he'll say, get back to me, or I'm just not informed enough. Where other guys will just go on rants, right? I mean, LeBron is such a bright guy. Even going back to, whether it was the Ferguson riots or, a Trayvon Martin situation, whatever it might be, LeBron would do his homework and be informed. And if he hasn't, he'll say, get back with me. I don't know enough. I don't have an opinion on that because I don't know enough about it. And I can respect that. And there are times where I'll say, I don't know enough about it. I don't know. Get back with me, but then I'll go do my homework.
Yeah, I feel like that's the stance that more people should take, to be informed as opposed to just shoot first and then ask questions later.
Yeah, but that's not society we live in, Andy, right? Because everybody's got a voice now with Twitter and Facebook. And
or they perceive they have a voice.
Well, yes. But then everybody just, without even thinking, they just spew a bunch of bull crap. It happens too often. You're right.
It's like the Uber ban.
Oh. I mean, I'm just telling you, I mean, you give somebody a voice and they run with it. And in many instances, they run out of control with it.
And then they'll smash a Starbucks window. But like you said, we could go on to this for hours, but we need to get you home for The Bachelor. Darren Wolfson, follow him on Twitter at DWolfson KSTP. Also, 1500 ESPN, The Scoop podcast. Download that. Doogie, love you, baby.
Andy, thank you. Appreciate it.
And big thanks for Darren Wolfson talking a little sports here on episode 2 of Bull. And, we're going to have Doogie on for the whole stick to sports thing, because I feel he's very reserved, but he's very informed, and that's something I love and respect about Doogie. But I feel like some in the media, especially the national media, we'll put that out there, sports-wise, definitely just have an ounce of information and then 2 pounds of courage to just throw it out there, YOLO style. It comes off as abrasive. It just really. I know this is completely uncharted territory of what we're dealing in here, because in the 70s you didn't know Howard Cosell's politics. You didn't. Well, you learned Jimmy the Greek's politics, but that's after some film crew, like a precursor, TMZ, just filmed him at a 3-martini lunch, and he said some things about black people. Yeah, but no one knew Al Mike. No one still knows Al Michaels' politics, even though he's a fairly conservative guy. No one knows that. But the advent of social media and podcasts and other avenues where it isn't just straight up sports, it's starting to bleed together. And every time you have two worlds colliding, there's always going to be a little friction. But we'll work things out. We'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday episode with Uncle Nick. We'll be I worship at the altar of Melissa Rauch. If you don't know the name, Google it. The Big Bang Theory. Hello, Bernadette. Duh. If you enjoy the show, tell a friend, spread the word, add to the Jerome Army. And big thanks to producer Allie for making me not sound so stupid. But, yeah, for Darren Wolfson, I'm Andy saying, and Young, sayonara, and bye-bye. We'll talk to you tomorrow, baby.
Thanks for listening to Bowl with Andy Carlson, Minnesota's 87th best daily podcast. Download the show on iTunes. Everyone's middle name is Jerome.